Perfect. And also, just as another quick clarification, just in case anyone's wondering, in terms of attendance, we basically take the attendance and we'll report it back for you. So yeah, I think everyone's names are correctly displayed, but I usually give a reminder now about that, especially if you're joining from an iPad or a phone. It will default to a strange name or shortened version of your name. So, but I think everyone's names are correctly displayed here. So yeah. Um,
One
oh,
thing Matthew and Aaliyah said that
yeah.
timeline is different.
Oh, that's fascinating. All right, we'll keep a watch for that. Actually, let me just check my inbox really quick, just to make sure. Haven't seen anyone, so that's good. But I'll definitely keep a check for that and try to add people in. So thank you for letting me know, because yeah, the Vision Resource Center, it's a very fascinating thing to add workshops. So I'm still learning as I go. So I appreciate that. All right, cool. So with that, we've recorded. I gave the reminder, so I think we can kind of get started. But yeah, hi and welcome. To this Flex session. I think this is the third library Flex session we've had this week. So thank you for joining. So this one in particular, um, is a little different from the others because, as the title kind of suggests, it's all about developing engaging co-curricular events and activities with the library. So just creating new and unique and, again, engaging opportunities to really interact with your students in the classroom, but also through the library, and how we can kind of pool our resources together. So we're really excited about that. Um, I'll just start the introductions. My name is Matthew Chase. I'm the instructional service librarian. And also co-facilitating with me is Rita. Do you want to introduce yourself really quick?
Yeah, my name is Rita. I'm the outreach librarian here.
Perfect. Yeah, Rita is kind of the core part of this particular session, as she leads a lot of our co-curricular events and activities, as we'll kind of show off in a bit. So she's definitely kind of our go-to person when it comes to a lot of these different types of programs that have already been kind of created in action, and also ones that we can propose together with you as faculty. So we're super excited to kind of share some ideas and hopefully spark some really interesting discussions even after this workshop. So with that, I think we can move forward. So just as a quick agenda, I've already kind of alluded a little bit to it, but basically just to kind of outline what we're going to be talking about here is, the first agenda item being a question, why partner with the library? So we'll talk about that in terms of, what is the value in terms of interacting with the library in this kind of regard, in terms of creating maybe assignments or engaging learning opportunities with us. And seeing the benefits for not only for you, but for the students and for us, just a whole holistic win-all situation here. And then we'll also go into faculty library partnerships that have already been, implemented in some fashion or form. And Rita's really going to go into detail about those particular parts. So you can kind of see cases and example, basically, of how we've been able to kind of move forward with this particular initiative. It's a fairly recent initiative for us to do, so it's always evolving, and I think that's one of the fun things about it, is that it can be essentially anything. So we're really excited about that. And then we'll leave us with some collaborative brainstorms. We have some ideas on our end, but we would love to hear maybe any particular ideas that have been inspired by you, right? As we kind of go along with this. But yeah, so we'll go with our first agenda item. Again, tackling that question, why partner with us in the first place? And yeah, I think there's a lot of different reasons as to why. And Rita and I kind of curated some to share here, particularly when it comes to creating engaging learning opportunities. So basically what we wanted to really stress is that again, there's like endless possibilities in terms of how we can kind of collaborate with you, and we'll kind of show some concrete examples of that going forward. But ultimately, I know with a lot of instructors, it's like trying to create new and engaging opportunities, but a lot of the times it can be pretty exhausting doing that. Either it's the limited class time, it could just be limited resources being able to do so. And so with the collaborative partnership with the library, we can actually kind of pool our resources together, which kind of goes into that second point of that we can actually support you with a lot of these types of engagement opportunities with your students. And one of the things we really wanted to kind of stress here too is that we really intentionally make these type of programs or events or activities, whatever they kind of come into be, very student driven. So where the students are really kind of leading the efforts, where they collaborate with the librarians, particularly Rita, when it comes to these, like having meetings, discussions, getting feedback, really assessing where they want to kind of go with the program or the event. So it's really having that really it's really offering the student agency in their own learning process, which I think is a really cool thing. That where the initial collaboration might be with the faculty and the librarian in terms of getting it set up and identifying students who might be interested, or maybe identifying the entire class to really participate. But ultimately, then it's kind of handed over to the students to really kind of collaborate with the librarians and really make it into something really special. And one of the other things definitely wanted to stress here is that the library outreach program, which is managed by Rita, really supports student success. Now, I wish I had the exact data because it's on my other computer, but I actually just received some research data from IESE regarding our outreach program and how participating in library outreach programs and events actually supports student success. We've actually been able to kind of show concretely that students who participate in events and other outreach programs with the library have been able to have or report higher student success rates in comparison to other students, which is awesome. And again, our program is very small at the moment. You know, it's been continually building though, quite rapidly, honestly, for the last like year and a half or two. And it's really awesome to kind of see that we can make that type of impact. Yeah, I don't even think I've shared it with Rita in terms of what that data was. So I'm going to be really excited to do that after this workshop. But it was super cool to see that we were able to kind of make that kind of impact. And of course, there might be some other factors kind of going into that, but like just to see how we can concretely at least support it in some fashion or form in terms of student success rates and so on, and even retention. Has been really interesting, and I'm really excited to see where we can kind of go from there. But yeah, is there anything you want to add, Rita, in terms of reasons or anything like that, especially from your own experience managing a lot of the different programs and events?
Yeah, I mean, mostly it's the students. Whenever we do programs or events, especially when we partner with the faculties, or classes, they always say how they love the idea of having that space where they can come in and feel like they're included and they feel like they're within their own family. So that's the goal here, that we're trying to create a place, a space for them to feel that they have a place here, they have a voice that they can share. And we can talk about the other events that we've done, is just to provide them that space and that place where they can also find friends or create new friends or listen to other people's stories and so forth.
I love that. Yeah, I totally agree. Because even though I've only been part of a couple of the different events, but even just anecdotally hearing a lot of students feeling a lot more confident in their abilities to either maybe perform or to present, or learning something new that they didn't really know. And I love that also, that social element that you're talking about, that cohesion with the other students, with the library, with their own faculty. I think that's such a cool community building aspect to this particular initiative. So. Love that. Cool. And yeah, so this is going to be a little bit more of Rita's part. I'm going to let her take over, but basically she's going to lead you into some case examples of how we've been able to form partnerships with faculty and by extension with the students themselves, and and supporting that kind of co-curricular culture through the library. So take it away, Rita.
Okay. Um, so So the
Ju-
first, oh,
oh, sorry. I just wanted to know if you want to change slides or just keep
um,
as is now.
yeah, so these are the events I'll be talking about that we've done in the library. So we can go with the first one. You can change the slide with the multicultural story time. So the idea for this was to create a space for students to come in and bring their kids as well, or their family members or their grandkids. Because as a community college, it's great that a lot of students come in and they not always have, sorry, let me rephrase that. So when they come in, the students come in, it's great to always have their families come with them. And a lot of the community college students that we have here have students, have kids. And it's a great place for them to come into the library and see the library and see where their parents or their grandparents or their siblings are studying at while they're at school. They know that their parents again or their siblings and so forth are at school as well. So we wanted to create a space for where they can invite their kids as well and their family members to come in all together. And the other ideas as well is to create that cultural um, and that different language and different cultures, especially that here at Kumaka, we have different cultures. We have different languages that many of our students speak. So we wanted to create something that brings all of them together and share that. So we partnered with child development and ESL departments to create the story time. So we had the great thing about this is the students from the child development had the opportunity to come in and not only see the story time, but also participate in it. So I had a couple of students from the child development come in and actually read books and danced and did different activities with the students. And this was great because that way those students have the experience now and they can add this to their resumes. Um, and then same thing with the ESL department, we partnered them where same thing again, where they brought their students to learn English, especially with it's a great thing with the picture books and the story times. It's a great place to learn English and having those ESL students come in, they can learn from that. And as well, we had students that read books and like board books that's easier for them to practice their English language. Um, so yeah, so we created this event to bring everyone together and have it in multiple languages. So we did it in Arabic, we did it in Spanish, and in English. And then I had other students who had different skills. So I had one student did a shadow box, a student did a dance, and then another student did songs with them. So it's a great place for them to have that experience and to practice what they're learning in class. So that's the other great thing is that they can actually, what they learn, they can bring it here and practice with it. And then I also had instructors come in and grade their students. So that was part of their final project is to read a book in front of the kids. So that's where the co-curriculum comes into. Okay, next slide, please. So our other event that started, it's called Open Mic. You probably have heard of it. So this started with the English department and a student group called Young, Gifted, and Black. So I had a student and the English instructor, Pascal and Karen, where they wanted to create an open mic, a place for students to come in and share their voices. So we created that in the library and we hosted it once every month. Um, and it was great. I had a lot of students who always said how they felt comfortable being in the space, comfortable sharing. And a lot of students made a lot of new friends because of it too. And it was a cool, intimate place. So we would host these. So some of them we would host it inside the library in a closed area. And then we also had a couple of them like in the beginning of the semester, end of the semester, where we hosted outside of the library, like in front of the library or in the I building, where it would be more a bigger one, where students can share with a lot more people. And then from that, we also partnered with the music department. So music department had a class where where they teach their students how to create and plan an event. So they partnered with us to create another open mic. And that was a great part of it too, because their goal was for the students to learn how to create flyers, promote an event, create the whole event, set up the event. So when we did that event, it was great because I was able to just stand back and then see them work on it. And if they needed help, I would step in and help them. But it was a great way that we were able to incorporate that also as a co-curriculum with the class and be able to do it in the library for them to be able to have that space to have it here. Okay. Next slide. Do you want to take that
Do you want
one?
me to talk about this one a little bit more?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, so basically this is probably one of the few outreach initiatives that I've been kind of helping co-lead with this one. Essentially, like even though we do offer more traditional instructional support services such as library instruction, coming to your classroom and teaching students how to find information, evaluate information, and so on. What we really wanted to make also a little bit different is offering these research related events to where that type of instruction can be a lot more engaging or focus on more interesting or very unique topics beyond those like introductory skills, but still kind of imparting certain critical information literacy skills and so on. And so, as an example, actually, one of the research events we were able to do was with partnership with the English department, which was a very fascinating one because it was about creative writing processes, and so it didn't seem like a natural fit for that traditional research approach, right? But what we were able to kind of do is create an event to where the students really kind of had this creative and imaginative approach to research when it came to being inspired, finding their so-called muse through the information that's available through through the internet or through databases, and seeking out whether it's like scholarly information, popular information, and really having that help guide and shape their creative flow, essentially, in terms of how they create a story or how they do creative nonfiction processes as well. And so we were able to really have some fun with that, where we were able to create certain locations, like had these like certain brainstorming team related ideas of creating these fictional locations based off of the research that we were able to find. So for example, one of the groups was able to come up with this very interactive and really cool design of a amusement park themed with snails, which seemed kind of gross at the moment, but it actually got really kind of cool in terms of how they were, implementing certain biologies of the snail into the design of the amusement park and so on. So they were able to really kind of have that creative, um, uh, you know, uh, output when it came to just absorbing information that they normally probably wouldn't have sought out, but then be able to create a very imaginative or transformative approach to that information through their writing, through their creative works. Another one actually was with the psychology department, which took on a very different lens, and that was actually in partnership with one of the psychology faculty and their students in terms of conducting a research study. So the faculty actually have this very scaffold approach to the students being able to go through the entire research life cycle, from developing a research question all the way to the end of it. And so as the librarian, I kind of walked through with them on the process of developing the research question, which actually kind of involved some using AI tools like ChatGPT to kind of help assist and refine that question or hypothesis, have some different approaches to it, all the way down to actually, crafting literature searches and being very engaged in that process, to help inform how they were going to, create the methods, and then ultimately, collect data and so on, and then ultimately talk about more about the writing process later on, when it comes to actually publishing. So it's been really kind of cool. It's actually been an ongoing type of project, but students have been able to really engage all throughout the life cycle of a research study, and yeah, it's been a really great collaboration when it comes to that. So yeah, I'm really excited to see more other inventive ways to really kind of tailor these research events according to the students' maybe interest, the faculty's needs, and even to the discipline of that program. So that's where a lot of that creativity comes in. More recently, too, is that we were able to do a research event when it came to researching monsters in a literary fashion. But then we started kind of growing that out into other multidisciplinary approaches to researching monsters, like in terms of biology, in terms of other types of related fields. So that's been really kind of cool as well.
Okay. And then another thing we're doing events is that student work showcase. So we have a great space in the library where we're able to showcase the students' work, from artworks, from other things. So for instance, we collaborated with the art department to create a showcase for students where they can put up their paintings in the library, and they had their contact information or their Instagram handles. That way other students, when they look at it, they can also see, and if they like it, they can follow them on Instagram and so forth. So this was a great way for students to be able to, again, put their artwork up there, put their voices out there. Um, and we had a lot of great feedbacks from this. We also did, so when they said, so this was all students, they came, they planned, um, they put up the artwork themselves. So they had to like figure out what the spaces are, when they put the artworks, like the placement of them. So it was a great, and a lot of them were telling me that like this is their first time ever having their art pieces being displayed outside of like their houses or their classrooms. And they were really excited about that. And because of that great excitement, they wanted to bring their friends and their family in to show them that they have this art piece up in the library. So what we did an art reception for them. So we did it one evening, where all their parents, all their friends and family came in, and just we had a cool talk. They talked with the artists. We had a really nice time. And they were all really proud of themselves, and we're all proud of them as well. And again, this is great for them to be put on their resumes, and this is an experience, and that can be added to their portfolio where they have displayed their artworks out in the public. And again, especially with artists, it's great to have your pieces as much as possible, like out there, and also for you want other people to see your work. So this is great in the library because we have a lot of students that walk in, that studies in the library. So when they come in, they see all these great pieces. Another thing too is that if you see on the bottom, on the right hand bottom corner, this photo, so on the first floor of the library, we have these two big cases, where we also put um, artworks or things from that students have created. So for instance, for that photo, we collaborated with graphic design department where they brought in students' graphic design work, and we put it in the cases. And again, that's another way where other students can come in and see the students' work and see what that department is doing and what they're teaching. We also had these yellow boards that shows all the classes, what the graphic design classes are being offered. So this is another great way for your department and for your classes to showcase what you are teaching in those classrooms. Um, and we're really hoping that we can expand this to all departments. Our goal is to showcase this every month in each department, where we would bring in either your, like, whatever represents your department or whatever represent your classrooms. And we can also do the same thing as we did with the graphic design, where we can list out those classes. That way students can see, and if they like what they're seeing, they know that there is this class that teaches this. So it's a great way as well to showcase what you are teaching in the classrooms, and that way other students can see it. Um, yeah. Uh, I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Matthew.
No, I actually love that. I hadn't actually thought about that until you just said that, how it actually helps promote the classes and the courses and the programs. I actually never genuinely thought about that until you said it. I was like, that actually makes a lot of sense to where they can like students can actually see like what those classes are doing and seeing what kind of outcomes the students are really focusing on through this like very creative or very knowledge producing type of activity. That's awesome. And yeah, I totally agree. I mean, honestly, having witnessed the whole art reception that kind of was held at the library, seeing the students being able to kind of build on those like social networking skills as well. So again, having that social element of being able to talk about their art, exhibit it, and so on. And yeah, I know there was quite a bit of like troubleshooting the whole installation. So they were also having those kind of like skills in terms of being built, of being able to figure out the technical sides of setting up, especially when it came to like the open mics as well. Like again, like you said, they went through the whole process of like from creating the work, but also then having to set up the entire performance, or this in this case like showcasing the work itself. So they were really involved in the process, that again having that student driven type of approach to this. So I really love that. But yeah, and I think one of the other things to highlight too, one of the things I wanted to mention about the open mic was the cool multidisciplinary collaboration, because I know you were talking about how the music program was having its own kind of open mic, and the English department was already having theirs, and how they were starting to kind of collaborate in the last couple open mics, which has been really exciting to kind of see. So again, we're also seeing that cross-disciplinary collaboration between students and even with the faculty. So that's great to see. Yeah, yeah, I think this has been amazing work that we've been able to kind of do, especially on Rita's part.
Yeah,
Having that.
I want to add one more thing about that. The showcase on the bottom, on the first floor, on those cases. We also do, for instance, promote like departments that's like DSPS, and our goal to expand that as well to like veterans department and so forth. So it's not just classrooms, but also we're trying to expand that to other departments as well.
Yeah, really having that inclusive approach of how we can include other centers or other types of campus entities, at Cuyamaca College. And again, where students can actually interface with them and have those collaborative relationships with them as well. Again, really great skill building type of process for them. I do love the comment that Nancy left, how it's like having 3-in-1, where students can showcase their art, students in an existing graphic design department can participate their skills, and also other students can see their classes in action. Yeah, exactly. I think honestly that was what happened too with the multilingual story time, where I know in child development, when you approach the class, a lot of them were kind of very tentative and very like kind of maybe intimidated by the whole process. But then you included some students in that first multilingual storytime event, and then that actually shared a lot of that excitement, because they were like, oh, this is what the actual experience is, and they were able to kind of share that with the rest of the class. So I don't know if you have more to speak on that, because I know you were directly interfacing with them, but that's what I heard anecdotally, and that was super exciting to see that new spark of confidence, right?
Yeah, definitely. And we so this is we only done 3 story times, and throughout those, every story time that we would do, we see an increase, and we see an increase of students as well that wanted to participate. Like for the first story time that we've ever done, not a lot of students want to participate. Honestly, they were really shy and they were really nervous. So they were like, I just want to see how this goes. During the second story time, more students participated. I had three participants that did stories. And then this past one, I actually had a lot more students that wanted to participate and wanted to do songs and wanted to do different things, like finger plays. So it was really great seeing that improvement and seeing that how students have that confidence and want to add to it and want to participate. And even then, like the students from this last one that we did in December, I had students that said, "Oh, can I sign up for next semester?" So it's great seeing that they want to put their efforts in there and want to participate and seeing that confident rise up.
Yeah, it's great. It's been great to kind of see this whole like process kind of really build. And again, it's been continually evolving because I think it started with the multilingual story time, and now it's grown into these other types of initiatives as you're seeing now. So it's been really exciting, honestly, to see how rapidly it's grown. Um, Also, I just saw there was a couple questions that were directed to me. One was about the recording for this particular workshop. We're actually going to upload this workshop as well as with the others into the library's YouTube, and I can actually share those links as soon as they're fully uploaded and processed. So I'm happy. Yeah, I know they were also mentioning about health education because that's as one of the faculty was kind of really being inspired. It sounds like so. I'm really excited by that. Yeah, I could totally see there's a lot of different potentials with like health education if it has to do with like maybe having the students like really work with the communities, maybe the surrounding communities, and seeing about like maybe health literacy initiatives. That's something we can definitely collaborate with, and curating resources maybe for the communities, stuff like that. And we're really working with the students on how to do that. That would be awesome. At least that's one initial idea that I'm thinking of. So, but actually, that kind of I think perfectly ties into the next part of our session here. Is what would you like to see in your classes? And I know that's a huge question right now to kind of to pose at the moment, but in case you have any quick ideas, feel free to leave them in the chat. We'll also give some time to mute during the session as well. But just to kind of help spark this as well, we actually had a few ideas on our end that we've been really excited to maybe try to play with or maybe kind of adapt in different ways just to kind of again spark those creative juices. So yeah, we had a couple of things to kind of promote here. So in terms of helping this brainstorming collaboration, one of the things that we've kind of noticed is, and you might have noticed as well in terms of the partnerships we've currently had, is that we've been having a lot of great partnerships with humanities, with the arts, a little bit with the psychology department and so on. But notably, we're wanting to really build also on the area of STEM. I think that would be a really good place to go forward with as well. So one of the ideas we were kind of having, and we've been kind of maybe broaching this topic with a couple of the faculty so far, is in terms of like student work showcases. Obviously we've been showing a lot of those like creative outputs, but what about the research related ones or STEM related outputs? And so one of the things that would be kind of exciting to see is maybe doing like research poster sessions and hosting them at the library. I think that would be another really exciting venue for students to be able to learn about conference activities, having those professional activities and networking, having them talk about their work. I think that would be super exciting to kind of see. Another one is on book and film discussions. I think this has some really great potentials across all different types of disciplines and programs when it comes to that, because for us, we have plenty of books, right? So we actually do have a lot of ebooks that are available, and they're actually unlimited access to where student like a whole bunch of students can actually access it simultaneously. So we could offer that type of energy for the students, so that way we can kind of meet those equitable needs as well, because we don't want to necessarily expect that students will have to go out and buy the book every single time, but maybe we can help organize either maybe getting some physical copies or again supporting electronic access to a book. The same even with films. Actually, we do have some really great streaming media databases for both feature entertainment films as well as more documentaries and educational videos, so we can even have those type of discussions and where students can really enjoy those as well. One of the things actually Rita and I've been kind of working on too is doing film screenings. So currently we do have public performance rights for a lot of our different documentaries, which have a lot of different disciplinary elements, whether it's in terms of health sciences, in terms of arts and humanities, social and behavioral sciences, and so on. So I think there's a lot of potential there where we can actually have a documentary screening from one of our films here, and then have a discussion afterwards, or maybe organize like a student panel discussion. That'd be really great. I think there's a lot of limitless potential when it comes to those. Another thing that I'm really excited about, I know Rita is also excited about, is virtual reality. And there's actually some really great open access and equitable access to virtual reality technologies, particularly when it comes to web VR or web-based VR. And that's something that actually I was going to work with the English department to do at some point. It's still kind of like a very tentative far future type of thing to kind of see, but actually being able to help guide students to kind of really interface with virtual reality in different ways, whether it's in that creative output or if it's in more that research based. So I think there's some really great potentials with that, especially in a very asynchronous or an online synchronous kind of fashion too. If you're an online instructor, I think that could be a really good, engaging and immersive learning opportunity. And I think we can kind of come up with some ideas on that as well. Again, as I've done with the psychology department, we could do research studies, depending on what exactly you would like to kind of scaffold for students to kind of really understand the whole research process. I've actually also wanted to kind of quickly propose even like building databases as well, because a lot of students don't necessarily know what the whole scholarly field is, right? Like they're still kind of grappling with the terminology that can be kind of latched onto what a database is, what a peer-reviewed article is, and so on. So I think, actually kind of going through with them to build a database that maybe meets a certain kind of need, especially when it comes to like indigenous knowledges or anything like that, something that is very niche or maybe not as highlighted as it should be in terms of those areas of research. We can definitely work on that as well. So I think they can have that really immersed, engaged work with research and other types of creative works. And then lastly, too, just want to kind of too is zine workshops. This is something we've been kind of doing informally at the library, providing resources and a space for students to kind of just walk in and have be able to create zines on their own. But it'd be great again to work with faculty who might be interested in doing zines with their students to have that kind of process. Again, it can even be a very research based in case you're more like a STEM or more the quote unquote hard sciences type of angles, to where they can really incorporate all that information into a zine product, or again, even in a very creative format too, where they can kind of express themselves in a variety of different ways, artistically and just in general creatively. But yeah, did you want to add anything on this, Rita?
No, just the fact that like even if you have any ideas or maybe you have an assignment or something that you don't really necessarily know how you can incorporate it with us, please feel free to like contact us or have a meeting with us and we can discuss those and maybe we can both come up with an idea that can um, work with your assignment. So even if you don't know for sure, like how would this work with the library, please talk to us. Maybe we can also come up with ideas that we can figure those out.
Definitely, yeah. And I already see some really great comments left here in terms of Nancy from the history department wanting to do potentially a project that surrounds about documenting a friend or a family or a community member and their stories. I think that would be amazing to do. I think we can definitely work with you in that respect, because again too is like we have a lot of different spaces in the library that are very adaptable, and we can kind of create different ways of engaging with your students. I think that's one of the key highlights, especially if you're online or otherwise maybe don't have a classroom that's really kind of outfitted to be a community space and really engage students in a variety of different ways beyond just the traditional lecture type of format. Yeah, we can definitely kind of move around the space of the library to really kind of fit whatever is kind of needed. And sounds like there was also some interest in the zine workshop, which is awesome. Also, Taylor, I think that would be really cool to see in terms of maybe working with the digital theater in terms of film screens. I think that would be super exciting and probably give us a lot more space as well. We definitely, one of the spaces that we use does accommodate for a pretty big audience or a pretty good sizable audience that could probably definitely fit an entire class. But yeah, if we probably need it bigger, and just in case, we might have to use the digital theater. But again, that's where we can kind of really come in and be able to help organize a lot of those types of space reservations, or at least just working with the different departments to make it happen. So yeah, but yeah, let's see. Any other thoughts or questions or anything like that regarding like maybe potential collaborations? We'd love to hear them. And as Rita said, we do have contact information, which I think is a great cue in on that. So for the most part, Rita has been our primary outreach coordinator when it comes to all these different types of initiatives. I definitely play a part in supporting some of those as needed, especially when it comes to the like research events and so on. But yeah, it's just something we're super excited to really kind of build on, and it's yeah, I think it will bring a lot of value to the students and into the whole campus community. And again, be able to really pool all of our resources so we don't always feel like we're the only one, right? Trying to push forward with a certain project or an idea that we're super excited by, but we may be limited in terms of our resources, our time, our energy. And I think this is a super great way of kind of addressing those gaps, right? And those challenges. So yeah, we're very excited by that. But yeah, is there anything you want to leave with Rita?
Um, no, just the fact that like, yes, we do have also resources that we would love for you to use, for the students to use. Like for instance, again, like those films, those documentaries. A lot of faculties and students don't know that we have those. For instance, like movies, like new movies that we just added, for instance, um, the documentaries. So it's great for us that we wanted students to know that they have all these resources, that they don't have to pay for them. And we can also use those to incorporate with your classrooms. That way, also, again, students don't have to go out of their way to find those or to buy those. They can always just use it here. And just kind of going back to the idea of the film, like, for instance, like if you assign a documentary or a film or a movie for your students to watch, you can always just bring them here in the library and we can watch all of us together, or that way there's a space for students if they can't watch it somewhere else or at home. There's a space here that they can come in and watch it with their classmates. And then again, like we can have those discussions, or it could be just a more easy. So yeah, and again, if you have any ideas that you want to think about or to collaborate with, we would really, really love that. We're really trying to expand the outreach and expand those events and expand that and create a home for students to come in and feel that this is their space, that they can leave their voices or their marks in the library.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I think that's definitely well said. Um, yeah, and again, we have very adaptable spaces, and actually, I also want to extend that also extends to our online spaces as well. So we have a fully dedicated library website to where we can maybe make some accommodations in that sense. We also have certain online platforms that might be also useful in terms of we have what is called LibGuides. It's mainly where we build a lot of our research guides, but that could also be another potential space. Again, we really want to extend out equitably to all students, especially our remote and distance learning students as well. And even also for our evening classes as well, because I know that's another hard point for a lot of students is that a lot of the buildings kind of close. Luckily, I think we're considered the longest running building, or at least like kind of publicly accessible building in terms of all of our services. We are open until 7:30. at night on Monday through Thursday for spring, for example. So yeah, so luckily we would be able to also help accommodate for some of those later night activities, right? As well. So both in person as well as online. So I think there's a lot of different potentials that we can offer to you as the library.
And one more thing I would like to add
Sure.
before I forget, kind of forgot to mention it in the beginning, kind of how you're saying, Matthew, like the asynchronous. So we also have, for instance, like Matthew had partnered with the health center to create the virtual serenity space.
Mm.
So I'll put the link in there. But this is another way where we can create it, where it's an online kind of a collaborative where students can come in and share again their like if you look through that, there's a creative studio where students can put their creative showcase where they can add their artwork or what they've done. And there's also other stuff that they can share their animal pictures of their animals, share games and so forth, or play with each other. So we also have that collaboration that we can do through online and not just in person. So again, just so many ideas that we can work with.
I definitely agree. I think that's thank you for sharing that actually, because I think that's a perfect example of like how students can be also involved in that process of curating resources, maybe for the surrounding communities or for the campus community, regarding a particular issue, a particular challenge, or a particular need that they want to identify and start curating resources in that way. And we can be involved with them in that whole curation process of identifying what is good quality resources to share as well. So I think there's some really good potentials in that too. So yeah, love that, Rita. And again, as you also see, as Rita had illustrated, there's a lot of interactive components that we've kind of embedded into that particular guide. So that also shows that even in an asynchronous format, we can still engage students through a variety of different platforms, whether it's like Padlet, through Mentimeter, through we also found Genially, which is a really cool open access tool, and allows for a lot of creative potentials with that. So love that. Thank you. But with that, I think we can just leave the rest of the time for any questions, any thoughts. So feel free to mute yourself. I can go ahead and stop sharing and stop recording just in case you'd like to speak on anything in particular. But yeah, thank you so much again, everyone, for joining us for this. I know it's kind of early. Well, to me, it's early. Maybe for some other people, it's not so much. But I still haven't had my coffee, so maybe that's why. But yeah, thank you again. I'm just gonna stop recording, and again, we'll just be here for the rest of the